Hello guys and welcome back to the show. Right now with us we have Jesus. So Jesus, welcome and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us.
So, thank you for the invite.
Yeah, before we get into anything like that's too complicated and then too crypto savvy, I really want to know your backstory. I mean, we did some research. I know that you pivoted from TradFi to crypto to
Correct.
this whole DeFi sector that we have, but like, I just want to know how that happened and then the why of the whole pivot that you did.
Sure. So I am originally from Venezuela, but I've been living in London for more than 10 years. So I was in London. I'm still living in London, and TradFi. I was working on what is called structured products. So basically, we would then build very complex financial solutions, financing of different types to very large companies in Europe and outside Europe. And then, I spent doing that for 10, 11 years, where I also built a business inside of the structured products inside one of the banks where I was working on. But then while I was in the process, after COVID, in the process of being at home one day, having nothing else to do, then I was like, already thinking about my life, what do I want to keep doing this forever? Then one thing to the other, I found about Bitcoin, then I found about Ethereum, and one thing to the other, and then I started learning more about the assets, about crypto, about the industry, about the protocols, about the technology, and then thinking about, look, how can I start using this new technology in a way that I could somehow reinvent any of the products that I've been working on for so many years. Plus, at the same time, I was noticing such a big enthusiastic community of builders, right, all across the world that really attracted me a lot, right, because it was a big change from the corporate, very strict world that I was living in for more than 10 years into suddenly building something from scratch.
Exactly.
So it's an opportunity, it's also a risk, of course.
Yeah.
It's a career risk, but look, no pain,
risk, no reward.
No risk, no reward. No pain, no reward. No pain, no gain. Correct. Yeah. So then eventually I decided at some point in time, after I got to a level of directory in the banks, where I felt like, look, it was more like a game of politics more than building the products. Then I decided it was the right time then to do the jump and then come here and start building in blockchain.
Yeah, that's the reality of things. In crypto, no matter what good of a product you have to be in the right room at the right time, meeting the right people, saying the right things.
That is correct.
That sounded very eloquent.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It goes with a fit.
Thank you. Well, you learn a lot of things from TradFi that you can use in crypto. But with crypto, given that it's the most chaotic industry in the world, an industry that we love and hate at the same time, but you also have to unlearn a lot of things.
Correct.
So what are some things that you realize that, hey, this does not work with these clients, this does not work in this industry that never sleeps? So what are some of those things that you realize that they just don't work with crypto as they do with TradFi?
Well, I always come from more the point of view, since I started working in blockchain, the blockchain needed more order.
Yeah.
Needed something called risk management,
Yeah.
which back in 2021, we all know what happened. And actually, it was 22, the bad year. So I was always with that view that it needed more order, because there were a lot of builders and a lot of great, obviously, ideas that were building very fast. But then when I started doing a bit basic due diligence that was basic for me as per my standards on TradFi, I realized that many of these protocols had very basic, in my view, engineering issues. For example, I never bought a Luna. I was one of those that was thinking that in a cascade liquidation, it would just be completely the ends.
Yeah.
So you predicted it, basically.
I was expecting something like that would happen, but it happens a lot of things in life, that one thing is to predict it and another thing is actually to live it, because I have many friends that lost their savings.
Yeah.
So I didn't want that to happen. I did warn, but crypto was growing very quickly those days, and people were so enthusiastic about these protocols that, well, look, they saw me more like a conservative guy from
Yeah.
TradFi who doesn't really understand the technology. So yes, like I always thought about bringing more the standards of risk management into crypto, and that's what I've been doing the last couple of years since I moved here full time. But at the same time, I had to unlearn a few things. Mainly the point of me ensuring that I have everything solved and everything figured out before I would go to a client and speak to them.
Yeah.
So here, when you build a new company, when you build a new product, and when you advise someone else on that, you need to get comfortable around the fact that you don't know all the answers.
Exactly.
And so when is the right moment to launch? What do you need? Is it too early? Is it too late? Or it's complicated, right? So getting comfortable with a bit more of uncertainty and with not having all the information.
Yeah.
Because this is how you train you in TradFi. You need to ensure and understand everything before you go speak to a client, right? So that was one of the biggest things for me, indeed. How to be comfortable around that.
Yeah, but like you mentioned risk management in crypto, and yes, it doesn't exist. Because I think in our industry, we know all about risk, but we don't know what management is. We just don't manage it, But do you think that an industry like crypto can, like users, retail, companies, whatever, do you think they will be focused on this risk management considering how chaotic our industry is? Because crypto, I think, is still the Wild West. Even if we have regulations, even if we have like new investments and the merge between TradFi and crypto, I still think it's gonna be way more chaotic than traditional finance just because it's accessible to everyone and then it's a 24/7 market. So, I mean, what's your take on that?
It depends who the users are. So let me explain what I mean. When you think about the history of crypto, the first really product market fit or the first enthusiasts were developers who loved the technology. They were like, okay, look, there is something here.
Yeah.
But then after the price of Bitcoin went up, the next really product market fit with crypto was gamblers. To be honest, it's changing. That's why the prices of everything is going down, because gamblers are not here anymore. But gamblers from, 2015, just to say a year, were the main really reason why the crypto was growing. Of course, you still have your enthusiasts about the technology that they were supporting Bitcoin as a way to, as a new money. There were many narratives and I would say use cases that came about. But really the main point of growth, especially from 2017 and until 21, 22, was people who here that came to gamble, right?
Me as well.
Yeah. Right. And also I was doing some of that to some extent. I have to acknowledge, right? So we all are sinners, right? Even though I'm Jesus, I still sin, So we're all sinners in that respect. Now, what happened after all of this constant bear market we have had to some extent on the alt market since 22, is that as gamblers lost their money, who else is here to buy the tokens?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we haven't found yet, or the industry hasn't found yet, a use case where all of these alternative tokens, they have a proper use case that makes people buy them beyond expecting to get 100x.
Exactly.
So right now what you see is use cases for stablecoins, use cases for the technology of blockchain per se, for settlement, etc. But you don't, even though institutions are here, and we're now in a conference where you have some of the biggest banks in the world, the fact that institutions are here are not reflected in the price.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which means that there is some mismatch in there between how the economics of these tokens were designed and between the adoption of the institutions of the technology of blockchain. But that's a complete, I would say, separate conversation.
Yeah, it is. But like for institutions, a 0.1% increase does make a difference, whereas for the retail users, it doesn't.
Correct, because it's different use cases, different uses, as I said before. So if you're expecting to grow with more retail, the crypto already took the whole global gambling market.
Yes.
And that market is now dead. That market of global gamblers do not have any more money.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of glad that we're moving a bit away from this gambling epidemic, especially in crypto. I myself joined crypto with the idea that I will make gains overnight. Obviously, that was not the case.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've lost money with memes as well. And but like, given that crypto is becoming institutional, even utility projects are now B2B more than B2C. But where does that leave the retail user? The retail users that join crypto to use a DeFi platform because it provided a higher yield than their banks did. So because even yields are normalizing now. Their DeFi is now competing with banks, but the yields are converging more and more every day. So where does that leave the retail user?
Well, it depends what kind of retail user we're talking about. If we're talking about the retail user that is expecting 100x, go gamble, go to prediction markets.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right? Like honestly, like this is not the market anymore for that type of users. Now we're talking about the users that they have their savings and they don't have access. I don't know, because I'm from Venezuela and I don't know, you might be in Bolivia, Colombia, even Venezuela, and you don't have access to a product that gives you a 5-10% in dollars.
yeah,
then, well, you know, maybe this is the market for you. So what you see is an evolution in the ecosystem from a market that was building products for gamblers into a market that is building more scalable products for the global financial system.
sure.
Because the global financial system cannot really support an ecosystem where everyone is making 100x, because then everyone is rich.
Yeah,
Right?
No one is rich.
Or no one is in there because it's just paper money, literally, or you know, or digital money that doesn't really serve you to anything. So what we've seen is an evolution of the market and the users.
Yeah.
Right. So again, if you're a retail user that have access to these products that yield 10-15% in your country in dollars, well, maybe there is now something for you, but not for the gamblers.
that's true. Now, you've also dealt with on-chain hedge funds. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So-
and off-chain too. Yes.
Yeah, but like the whole point of on-chain is so that it's transparent to everyone in a way. And but what gives you the advantage then if everyone can just see what you guys are doing, for example, and copy your strategy? Like, how do you take the edge here?
That's a pretty good question. So let me take a few steps back for a second, just to give a bit more of background, right? So because I was in the financial industry for many years, one of my first interactions actually with crypto was with hedge funds. And what a hedge fund does, they have certain strategies with where the people who make the decisions about those strategies, what to buy, what to sell, where to move the money, how to move the money.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for years, and therefore they have better chances than a normal person to actually make money consistently, right? That's what the theory says, right? So yes, these hedge funds, they trade different products in different ways in different markets. Some of them they trade that on chain, some of them trade that off chain.
Yeah.
So you can still actually protect what is called intellectual property of these managers,
Yeah.
which a lot of the intellectual property is part of how they make the decisions of buying and selling by trading, for example, on centralized exchanges, or by trading using technology of privacy, where you see the final results, so you see the P&L or the profit and loss, so how much you're making, how much you're losing, but you don't see exactly how to make the decisions.
Yeah.
So what we have managed to do is to use different technologies to ensure that we keep the privacy of the managers and they retain their intellectual property, which is very important for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a way in order to be able to certain users and certain jurisdictions being able to then to have access to some of these yields and strategies from these experienced managers.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense to, since like TradFi and DeFi is converging, it makes sense for these both user bases to converge as well. So even retail users can use the strategies that professional geniuses basically use.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd love for this episode to go longer, but like it's raining, it started to rain, so I would love to close the episode with one specific question. Where do you see, when do you see like the final or maybe the beginning of the real merge between crypto and TradFi? Because we know institutions are coming in, but when
Yeah.
do you see like it becoming the normal thing.
And you look at us, we're
Yeah, I mean, I would never think I would be in a suit, but at a crypto conference,
Here
come
you
on.
are.
But here I am. So
I mean, look, we are all converging into the suit. You know?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
now we need a tie next year.
No, not even TradFi. It's just in ties, right?
Okay,
But
perfect,
look,
perfect.
It's a pretty good question, and actually, it takes. I need to go back into a second into what we're doing about the hedge funds. So what's happening is they're converging right now, but it's something that is happening slowly until you realize one day you wake up, it's like, oh my God, actually, everything is here, right? So it goes slowly until suddenly, like it goes exponential. So what you were seeing with the gamblers a few years ago is promises of 100x, 10x, then it went to 5x, then it went to 3x.
Oh, 2.
Now 2x,
now
right?
10% gain is
A big
But
win.
that's my point, right? So then now that 10% is more normalized in blockchain, then my question is, okay, look, how do I build or put all the pieces together, the blockchain technology, so I can help democratize a bit more yields or returns that in TradFi many times are more than 10%, but they're now being gated for many reasons, for operational reasons, legal reasons. So we have, through my work, we've been able then to find a way, a structure where we put the pieces in a way in which we can help democratize more access to returns that could be 5%, could be 10, could be 15, could be more, depending on the risk profile that you have. But a way in which basically we provide access to users that do not have any access to these managers and these strategies. We can grant access to these managers, and they can then increase their expectations from 5-7% to maybe a bit more. It will never get to 2x.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. It's not even sustainable in TradFi, right?
The irony is that stocks are outperforming crypto. Like,
Correct.
if you look at the AI stocks, it's like,
But again, even these returns on Nvidia and all these stocks, I mean, who knows for how long they'll keep running, but
Bubble being a bubble.
keep a bubble, right? But you will always have a bubble somewhere, right? So now the bubble is with equities. So now that is a more boring market in crypto, then it's an opportunity for people like us then to build products that improve on what already exists on traditional finance and in crypto. So then you can actually converge both technologies, the traditional rails and the traditional managers with crypto, with blockchain, and then build new products where you actually provide access to products that, again, are not that exciting to the gamblers, but they are exciting to the person who's trying to grow their savings.
yeah.
Exactly.
And the person who is eventually in 10, 20 years, they would like to have their 5x,
Let me
But
just
in 20
beat,
years.
Yeah, at least beat inflation.
At least beat
Yeah.
inflation in it.
Yeah.
Another way to beat inflation.
And
Yes.
especially for countries like you mentioned, Venezuela, or countries that have their own currency, but they want to save some money on USD or Euro or whatever other currency that is a bit stronger. But yeah, it just makes sense. Everything that's happening, it makes sense. And yeah, we joined for the gambler mentality because, who doesn't want 1,000x on their investment for one day? But
But we're still here. Like,
We're
I mean,
still
you guys obviously are doing here great work with all the media, with all these interviews. So I think the people who stick around are the ones that, yes, obviously we all got disappointed at some point in time.
Yeah.
But
We're numb.
we still also
just
realistic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We want to stick around, we want to keep building, we want to be consistent, because also with consistency, we iterate, we learn from the mistakes, and eventually we will get there.
We keep learning. That's
We
the
keep learning all the time.
until we die, we were going to keep learning. That's how it works. Okay, Jesus, thank you very much again.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
huge pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone.